Magdalene. She's one of the most misunderstood figures of all of Christianity, and today I'm going to tell you everything that I've been able to learn about her. I feel a deep connection to Magdalene, and particular curiosity about the mystery of her later life, after Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Magdalene is said to have sought refuge in a cave on the mountainside of southeastern France, where she spent the final approximate 30 years of her life. You may have heard her be called by several names: Mary Magdalene, Mary of Magdala, Magdalene, Magdalene. In this video, I will mainly be referring to her as Magdalene. For a woman so central to the story of Jesus' life, we know very little about her. There's no record of her early life, no record of her age, though historians believe her to be in her 20s or 30s. There's no descriptions of her physical appearance. No texts have ever been found to have been written by Magdalene herself. Her name is a small mystery in and of itself. Some scholars believe she truly was born in Magdala, an ancient Jewish village best known for its fishing industry, located on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee that was once, long ago, bustling with life. Others suspect that the name Magdalene did not refer to her place of origin, but was a nickname roughly translating to tower that was given to her by Jesus, perhaps in part to differentiate her amongst many other women named Mary, which was an extremely popular name in the 1st century CE. And I think that this is an interesting theory, given that Magdalene would ultimately end up living in a cliffside towering over the town of St. Maximin. Anytime that a group of women is mentioned in the Synoptic Gospels, Magdalene's name is listed first. We also know that Magdalene was a financial contributor to Jesus' early ministry, meaning that she had some degree of wealth and independence of her own. We do not have any evidence that Magdalene was a noblewoman, meaning that unless she had inherited wealth from a past family member or was a widow, she would have been a visible, working participant hustling to keep up an early Roman economy. Given the large fishing industry of Magdala, she may have salted, dried, and packaged fish for transportation, or she may have woven and repaired fishing nets, which were expensive due to their constant requirement for maintenance and upkeep. But these are just ideas. We have no evidence of what type of occupation Magdalene had before meeting Jesus. The Gospel of Mary, dating back to 2nd century CE, was written by an anonymous author, like the 4 canonical Gospels. Still, her Gospel provides us a glimpse of the woman that Magdalene was. The text was discovered by a German scholar named Karl Reinhardt, who bought a bundle of documents called the Berlin Codex at a marketplace in Cairo, Egypt in 1896. Unfortunately, multiple pages were missing from the Gospel at the time that it was discovered. The absence of the first 6 pages leads to an abrupt opening mid-conversation of Jesus' disciples speaking about the resurrection on page 7. And there is also a 4-page gap in the midst of a conversation between Magdalene and Jesus regarding the mechanism of the mind's perception of visions. It's such a shame that these are missing, but I have hope that they too will be discovered someday. We know very little about Magdalene's life prior to meeting Jesus, although most agree that it's safe to assume she had experienced significant psychological trauma. She dedicated her life to following Jesus after he helped her become free from 7 quote-unquote demons, which in the 1st century CE could have meant illnesses, whether physical or mental, could have meant oppressions or afflictions, and did not necessarily refer to demons that spiritually possessed her. There is no description of her purification with Jesus, which many refer to as her exorcism, which is quite abnormal since the canonical Gospels describe many exorcisms dramatically. For this reason, many speculate that her purification took place privately. Magdalene was extraordinarily close to Jesus, trusted and favored by him as a brave and loyal, curious, inquisitive, insightful student, as we see her portrayed in the Pistis Sophia. She seems to be envied by the male apostles for these reasons. While the male apostles tend to ask Jesus questions about how to live righteously, Magdalene has much deeper philosophical questions and metaphysical discussions with Jesus. Many have speculated that Jesus and Magdalene had a romantic, sexual relationship, but there is no evidence of the two being more than spiritual partners. Many believe that the 7, quote, demons exorcised from Magdalene, as referred to in both the Gospel of Luke and the Gospel of Mark, are the 7, quote, powers of wrath listed in the Gospel of Magdalene, which must be overcome in order to spiritually ascend as Magdalene did. To get a bit into the weeds, the Gospel of Magdalene actually says that after the soul had, quote, overcome the 3rd power, it, meaning the soul, went upwards to the 4th power, which took 7 forms, end quote, indicating that there is still a lot of information missing from these instructions for ascension. We can only work with what we've got for now. Since this text was found in Coptic, a late form of ancient Egyptian, I am going to be giving broad and translative interpretations of each of the 7 powers of wrath rather than concisely listing them, because I think that the meaning of those listed is more nuanced than we understand from the singular words listed in the Gospel. The powers that need to be overcome to free the soul are listed in the following order. Number 1, darkness, the absence of light, the absence of truth, being lost, no visible path, fear of unknown, all-consuming hopelessness, ignorance. Number 2, desire, craving, attachments, needing, scarcity, endless dissatisfaction. Number 3, ignorance, misunderstanding, lack of clarity, lack of direction, being unaware of spiritual truths, suffering from lack of knowledge. Number 4, longing for death, excitement for death, destructiveness, recklessness, self-sabotage, self-hatred, suicidality, complete desperation, abandonment of self, absence of gratitude, cynicism, lack of appreciation and gratitude of physical experience. Number 5, realm of physicality, kingdom of flesh, materialism, laws of the physical world, limitations, illusion of structure, order, and existence. Number 6, foolish wisdom, intoxicated false wisdom, false beliefs, false shallow understandings, youthful ignorance, naivety, selfishness, narrow-mindedness, arrogance, spiritual laziness, hastefulness. And number 7, wrathful wisdom, rage, inner darkness, unprocessed shadow self, cynicism, self-righteousness, holding judgment over others, seeking revenge, unchallenged ego. This list illuminates a lot to us. It can prompt us to ask ourselves some pretty important questions. Magdalene's significance does not only lie in her relationship to Jesus during his early ministry. In fact, we are getting to the most important part of this story. According to the canonical Gospels, Magdalene is said to have stayed by the side of Jesus at his crucifixion until he was taken down from the cross. She was also present for Jesus' burial and resurrection. The resurrection story itself splinters off depending on which gospel you read, but in every version of events, Magdalene was a first-hand witness of the resurrection. Where the accounts disagree, is whether Magdalene was alone when she witnessed Jesus having risen from the dead. The Gospel of John, popular for its highly mystical and abstract use of language in comparison to the other canonical Gospels, often referring to Jesus as Logos, a name that means the ultimate perfect communication between humanity and God and light of the world, recounts that in profound grief, Magdalene went to Jesus' tomb not long after his burial and found the heavy stone that had been covering the entry of the tomb was now at the side of the entrance, leaving the tomb open. When she approached the tomb, she saw that it was empty. Jesus' body was gone from it. She ran to tell the others and first ran into Peter, who returned to the tomb with her and confirmed what she'd seen. Peter then went home, and Magdalene stayed behind, alone. When she re-enters the tomb, she sees two angels seated exactly where Jesus' body had laid. And then Jesus himself appeared to her. At first, she didn't even recognize him, mistaking him as a gardener. When she realizes who he was, she calls out to him, "Rubini," which translates to "teacher," and reaches out to touch him in disbelief, but quickly pulls away after Jesus warns her that the body, the form she is seeing him in, is not in a state that is ready for physical touch. Their meeting is brief. He urges her to go on and share the good news with the other apostles, the good news that he has risen. Some have regarded this exchange as a triple honor of Magdalene, that which made her a prophet, angelic messenger, and apostle. Like the other apostles, Magdalene was venerated as a saint in the earliest centuries of Christianity through a process called equipollent canonization, which is granted to those individuals who are recognized as part of a long-standing Christian tradition. The Pistis Sophia, which was the subject of my first ever YouTube video, is a story of a celestial divine being named Sophia, who shares striking similarities with Magdalene, to whom Jesus is teaching this story of redemption too, 11 years after his resurrection. Here are two key takeaway lessons from the stories of Sophia and Magdalene's lives. Number 1, the one who is freed by Jesus will become one who guides others to freedom. Number 2, one's immense suffering becomes their powerful teachings, their healing becomes their wisdom, and their spiritual liberation enables them to be a savior of others. We do not know very much about Magdalene's personal life, where she resided, her relationship with her family, or how she became capable of financially contributing to Jesus' ministry. To our knowledge, Magdalene was never married, nor did she have any children of her own, and this would not have boded well for her under early Roman rule. A law enforced under Emperor Augustus's rule made it so that to live alone as a woman, she would have needed to give birth to 3 to 4 children. Instead, Magdalene decided to flee to southeastern France, where she spent the last approximate 30 years of her life living in a cave of the Saint-Baume Massif, known as Grotte de Sainte-Marie Magdalene. There is as little known about her later life as her early, but one may presume that she had to descend from the mountain now and again, and I wonder, what was it like to engage with the enlightened Magdalene? As I mentioned near the beginning of this video, the name Mary was extremely popular in 1st century CE, and there were actually 4 different women named Mary who were close to Jesus. Jesus' own mother, the Virgin Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Mary of Bethany, who was the sister of Martha and Lazarus, and Mary of Clopas. The individual identities of these women have been conflated many times throughout the centuries, and have even been mixed up with women who are not named Mary. I do not wish to speak about the ways in which Magdalene's name has been marred by the Catholic Church in years past, or the way that she has been portrayed by modern Hollywood filmmakers. What I've told you is my understanding of Magdalene the woman closest to Jesus, the light of the world. This is a version of the story that is seldom told, and which I choose to believe with all my heart. I spent the earliest years of my life as a child, a little girl, kneeling on the pews of my local Catholic church. By the time I reached my teenage years, I felt completely disconnected from faith and spirituality. The rejection of the religion I was raised within was, in my mind, mutual. If the church perceived that my nature and experience of womanhood was meant to simply accompany a man, was to submit, or else unclean and unholy, remaining a believer would lead me to a life of discontent, disappointment, and longing. For a long time, lacking direction, I've been uncertain if there was a living God at all. But if there were, I thought, they cannot be the God that I have been preached to about. That cannot be my God. The discovery of Magdalene's gospel reconnected me to my ground of being and shattered ceilings separating me from feeling the light of Jesus. And it is my hope that this video will reach the ears that need to hear this story, and that after traveling so far feeling alone, they too may rest enveloped in Jesus' love. Hello, this is me, Emma, after finishing my script for this video. I'd really like to just thank you for watching and share with you that I really tried to push myself in terms of creative writing with this one, which is something I absolutely loved to do as a child, but it was sort of beat out of me, so to speak, as I went through school, where I was encouraged to be very matter of fact, no fluff, etc. But look, I think that it's possible to add some high quality fluff when it is your personal work. If you're wanting to connect on a deeper level with the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, I would recommend ordering a copy of the Gospel of Magdalene and journaling about your relation to the 7 powers of wrath. I'll repeat them in concise order here in case you'd like to jot those down. Darkness, desire, ignorance, longing for death, realm of physicality, foolish wisdom, and wrathful wisdom. Some examples of types of questions I might journal about with these are: do you feel full of darkness, draining sources of light that you cross paths with, or do you feel like you radiate light from within? What level of wisdom do you think that you have, and why? Can you recall a time when you thought yourself to be wise but were in fact foolish? What is your relation to life itself? Are you grateful for this experience of being on earth, or do you long desperately to meet its supposed end? In either case, why is this so? These types of questions make for a deep session with your shadow, so only proceed with these journaling prompts if you feel you're in a safe headspace. Okay, that's all from me today. I really hope you enjoyed listening to this video because I really enjoyed making it. If so, please leave a like and comment below because I would love to hear from you. I don't get a lot of viewers at this point, so I am super thankful for any engagement that I get and almost always respond to commenters. Okay, now that's officially it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and remember that the power is yours to make it an awesome day.